Greetings everyone, this is Connor from Dagora TV. This is my Middle-earth Shadow of War gameplay analysis. I said I was going to do this in my last video where I talked about the announcement of the game, said I was going to be following the game a bit on the channel due to the kind of Lord of the Rings crowd that I've got with me on the channel. And I thought, you know what, this gameplay come out 16 minutes long, I thought I've watched it a couple of times now, and here's going to do my gameplay analysis of it for people who maybe are unaware of what's been added new to the game, of what they've seen, or who haven't played Shadow of Mordor, want to see what's different about this one, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to click play now, 21 seconds in, and let's go. First off, this is proof that the game is not taking place completely in Mordor this time. This is the first time the game is going to be going out of Mordor, and we are going to Osgiliath, which is the city that that we see in Return of the King, if you're familiar with the films, where it's attacked, completely ransacked city. And we also see Boromir on there in the extended edition, and hear about that in the books as well. Osgiliath, very famous city, city of the stars, as is there, and it's going to be in the game, which is going to be cool to see, as we can just see Minas Tirith there as well on the left-hand side, just at the end of Pelennor Fields. So it's going to be cool to see. Maybe at this time, the borders are kind of branching out a little bit, and it's kind of under Mordorian control, but it's technically in Gondor, which is kind of cool, and I think that's going to be really cool to see us actually step out into a really famous city of the game, famous city in the lore. See Cirith Ungol, and Gorgoroth as well. Another thing, Sauron there, just peeking in the background, looking around, having a quick look around Mordor. Obviously this is taking place between The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which is different to the previous one, which took place around the time of The Hobbit, maybe a little bit earlier than it. And yeah, we can see Mordor looking very different to what we saw in Shadow of Mordor. Mount Doom is definitely erupting. We see Sauron there as well, looking very oblique, very dangerous in some of the areas, especially in places like Gorgoroth. Another thing I want to tell you to take a look at as well is look at the levels. Very high. We've seen a lot of different ones. We see level 259 in Gorgoroth, the fortress level, and then 29 for Cirith Ungol, which is again another famous city from the films and stories of the books. So yeah, we're getting a lot of different levels, which seems to, I don't know how they're ranked. It's going to be interesting to see how they come up with these numbers, but I just wanted to bring that up. Just see very, very strange. Saragos. Another thing I want to say is very different, distinct environments. Like we've got snow here, we're going to have kind of general plain fields out in Osgiliath, and then in Nirn as well, it's going to be luscious landscapes and everything, and then Gorgoroth is going to be very lava-like. So we're getting a lot of different, landscapes to what we're going to get in the game in these fortresses. And take it from Sauron's overlord. Nice work to the UI as well. We also got their own enemy levels. I'm gonna get, if we're gonna have to put a guess in, I'm gonna guess it's the enemies levels added up what comes to the levels of the war chiefs, but I'm not too sure about that. And they've tightened up the strengths and weaknesses of, especially when it comes down to followers, which is a new aspect of the game where you can get people to join in your side, join orcs or uruks onto your side, which is going to be cool. You can see as well we've got our own level at the top there, the Bright Lord War Party level 102 against 192 Saragos Terra Fortress Party, which is going to be, again, not sure how they're ranked or anything, but we're going to have to wait and see to find that out. So this is really, we're seeing an attack on a fortress right now. So this is not what we're seeing in general gameplay in the zones or, being able to manipulate the nemesis system tree. This is a pure assault onto a fortress. Nice design as well, people up by strings in some of the corners of the area of the fortress, which I think is really cool. Nice snowy area as well outside. It looks kind of Horizon Zero Dawn out here, which is really cool to see. And, fortress defences. Definitely looks like a very daunting, harrowing place. No beard! You see, we've got our own follower tree here, which I think is something probably the biggest difference to what we got from Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor, and we can command them, get the details on each of them. You can see we can get quite a lot of followers that we can gain here, and it's a different look at the map as well. Looks a lot nicer in my opinion. I'm a fan of the environmental area behind it. I think this is a cool system. It's definitely something I'm going to be looking to play around with, but it will be also cool to see if this can be completely ignored, and I'm very interested to see what that's going to be like. Another thing we're hearing here, betrayal, what we can get from followers. So this is a personal grudge that he's got the curse of Sauron on him, and he's become a necromancer because we can see he's got that kind of like a hand of the Dark Lord there on his right hand. It can disable the Ring of Power attacks as well. So again, adding to the strengths and weaknesses thing that we've had from previous games, from previous Shadow of Mordor, and we've been able to kind of see that really transpire, these personal stories that they're really emphasising on, which was the best part of Shadow of Mordor, being able to get that through into Shadow of War. And then to take a minute as well to say the population that we're getting on the screen and on the map is really cool. Nice new climbing skills. Being cursed here is obviously going to be a new feature because we're actually fighting against Sauron now in the game. And yeah, having these whole cursing and being able to lose the ability to use the Ring of Power that we've crafted is going to be cool. You know, new skills, new abilities, going to be more powerful. It's going to be taking some of the aspects of the Bright Lord DLC, in my opinion, and bringing it into Shadow of War. Chopping off limbs. I like the use of the hammer. It seems that the objectives-based, we cannot skip ahead of objectives to go straight into the main boss. We've kind of got to do it on an objective-by-objective basis, which is, it makes sense in a way. You know, the different stages of taking out a fortress makes the game a little bit step-by-step. You know, we can't just go straight to the main dude like you could in some cases in Shadow of Mordor. I think this lengthens the game as well, which I think is, you know, I think that's fine in my opinion. I don't really see anything wrong with that. It's going to be interesting to see how much we drift away from our main character in these instances. You know, is it just for this gameplay to make it look cool, or are we going to be drifting off in a lot of times to see what stuff people are going to be doing? Maybe it's going to be at key moments when we're taking off objectives and everything, but we're going to have to wait and see about that when the game comes out. But so far, it looks like it's going to be when we're taking objectives, but we're definitely seeing a lot of taken away from the main character to see what's happening elsewhere in the battlefield. Fucking hell! Cool drop, slow-mo, epic. And just look at the amount of arrows on screen, you know, on the map. You know, there's a lot of NPCs that's going to be in the area this time as well, and the map also seems to be zoomed out a lot more. You know, we're getting a full view of the area. You know, we're not just getting a small, isolated, general vicinity of what we had in Shadow of Mordor. It's more of a zoomed-out map. And also, if you was wondering if the game is uneasy, it is because his arrow meter, or his focus or whatever I should say, you know, what he's used to fire arrows, is not going down at all since he's using it. So either that's an overpowered skill that we get by using the Ring of Power in the game, or they just made it easier as possible so that they don't have to run around and collect stuff and make the gameplay less boring. We're also seeing a lot of different of this, you know, Elven Race. You know, this is an ultimate which I'm just going to let play through. We're seeing a lot of character split between Talion and Celebrimbor all the time, and I think that's cool. It's different, you know. It was rare we saw the characters split up outside of cutscenes in Shadow of Mordor. The only times we'd really see is when you're taking out a finisher after the patch, and Celebrimbor would nip out and, you know, block a thing for you if you press Y in time. In this, it seems to be happening quite frequently, and I think that really adds to the gameplay, makes it look like more of two characters instead of one, and I think that's kind of cool. Heard they're infiltrating spies and getting down to plant explosives, so being able to gain people in their ranks, you know, to do stuff for you. Or again, also really cool ways to attack fortresses and gain intel. I think that's really interesting. Enemy being brought back from the dead. This is something that we didn't really see until the very last level in Shadow of Mordor. Sorry about the spoiler, but something that I think is really cool. Again, it makes sense if he's got this dark curse on him. He's not going to be dead so easily. You know, why do you only have to be the only person who doesn't get killed? So I'm kind of interested to see what it's going to look like. And, you know, also look at his eye. He's got the eye of Sauron in his eye. So he's definitely under this curse. And he's got the arm and everything. And it seems that the curse is really restricted to that glove. And I'm really interested to see how many types of these enemies are you going to meet in the game. Is it restricted to raw cheese? But this guy just looks like a captain, so I don't think that's the case. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how much of an impact Sauron has in these early game fights. There we go. So people that we gain to infiltrate, gain followers, are having a massive effect on the battle, and he is actually the one who kills the enemy captain. You know, we're not the one doing all the work, and I think that was really interesting to see, because a lot of times in video games, followers are just there. They don't really do anything. With the exception to, you know, games like The Last of Us, maybe. Followers have a major impact in those games, and we're definitely getting that again in Shadow of War in this gameplay. Of what we're seeing is he actually kills the captain, and he has his own strengths and weaknesses, and I think that's really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what personal stories he kind of really has to us playthrough. New system here. The only things you could pick up before was runes that would improve your armor, improve your one of your three weapons in a way, which would be the sword, the bow, and the dagger. This time we're getting new armor. As you see, we're able to pick it up from the enemies this case it's Rohirrim armor. I'm going to guess we're going to be able to read about them. Level 47 we're seeing here, so we're actually seeing levels of ourselves as well in the game, of the equipment that we have. Never had that before in Shadow of Mordor. You couldn't really change equipment, you could have different skins. But I think that Talion as a character is going to be interesting to see what kind of new ways we can get into him. New different armor types. We can see Rohirrim, which is a long way from Mordor, but being able to see what different armors and different weapons we're going to be able to get into the game, and it's a whole new bunch of RPG elements which we expect to see in a sequel, and we're definitely getting that. See, we've got a lot of different types of armor that we can change. We can change breastplate. We've got bow, dagger, and sword again. We've also got the kind of the hood kind of thing, or a cowl, and we've also got the ring as well. The different abilities that we can level up through runes and things like that. And also, we're definitely getting enchantments on them. Being able to request them out, a new ability that we've got in the game. And here is what a lot of people are saying is the coolest thing about the whole gameplay. Dragons are mountable and we can fucking terrorize.
Releasing and dominating the Drake lets us turn the Overlord's defenses against him.
This is just fucking sick. I mean, it is. It just is. Cool fight cutscene here. Definitely going to be great, to see these kind of things again. This is another idea that I was trying to say. How much is this going to go away from our character? And it's something we're going to find out once we actually be able to play the game. Is it going to be a lack of this? Is this just something to sell the game? But it's cool to see in this, obviously. But I want to see this kind of stuff in the game, and I don't want it to be too much though. And there's a fine line between getting too many cutscenes away from you and too few. Like there's a few times of Shadow of Mordor where there's too many captains in one stronghold where they just keep popping up over and over again. It's like, just let me fucking fight, for Christ's sake. And we can see that here that we've got different abilities. We can see, recruit them to our side to be able to go fight to the death and to go around and fight everyone until he dies. Or we can chain him and bring his level down and, affect his ability in this story. Nice new different areas we can go into here with the... Now we've got to confront the Overlord, which is the guy above the War Chiefs. New different enemy type in the game. Nice new orchestral theme, by the way. I think that Shadow of Mordor was a victim to overusing the same music over and over again. And hopefully we're not going to be getting this in Shadow of War. It seems that the dragon, or the fire drake, is very relevant to this particular zone. So I don't know if we're going to be getting different enemy types in different zones. That would be really cool to see. I just don't imagine seeing dragons in Osgiliath, for instance, or dragons in Cirith Ungol. That's going to be more like kind of the Nazgul type that we're going to see there, because we know that we're going to meet them in the game. But it seems that if they're going to have dragons in distinct regions or enemy types in distinct regions, I think that's a cool way to separate zone by zone basis. As we heard, customizable interiors. Interiors was something that was requested in the comments of my last video that people want to see in Shadow of War, and we're going to be able to get that in this. And the customizable, the random, the procedurally generated, which in a way, is procedurally generation done right. We're seeing really the right way to do it. Random enemy types, random enemy names, random interiors relative to that orc. They're not going over the top with it, and I think this is the right way to do it, because this is the the Dragon Lord of Saragost, and all about fire. And he's going to have this fire dungeon inside his area. Just be able to fight into the death too, and I think it's a cool idea. Really cool armor here. I'm a big fan of that. You have the enemies and the orcs look in the game. Skulls and everything. It looks really, really cool. New dodging animation. Go under the legs. Fan of it. Different health bars in the top left as well. As we can see, the counter's gone. The counter is gone away. It seems like executing his ability we can just have throughout to be able to go through the fort. Kind of going for a more Dynasty Warriors approach. But I kind of like the counter in a way. The different abilities we got around it. It was like the Arkham style kind of combat. Definitely, it looks like they've gone away with that. We're going to have to see, because it's the same kind of combat system, but without abilities coming at a certain number and stuff. We're going to have to wait and see really how it's going to play in the game, or maybe see on more gameplay. Requesting followers to come in at the time, as well as a cool ability to be able to just wipe them out with his Caragor. Very cool final kill animations. So it seems like the game is trying to get us to, conquer fortresses, gain regions, and to be able to get into the final areas of the game. As you said, you heard train our forces. So training our forces seems to be something that is going to be kind of cool in a way, because it looks like we can build up our enemies, build up our followers, which can go into, to fight more powerful enemies, which I think is going to be an interesting part. And I didn't really think about And we can upgrade our defenses against, so it looks like they're going to be attacking back against us, which is going to be interesting to see. So maybe we get called back to old zones and stuff. I hope this doesn't happen too much because I don't like going back to old places over and over and over again. So we're seeing different also ideologies of who we're going to promote, and we're able to see in the background what his fortress is going to look like as well. I think that's again another cool feature. I also think as well that the idea, you know, of having beasts turn against people in different, you know, benefits of choosing who's going to be the overlord is going to be really interesting. See, it's going to be quite a big map, so I'm going to guess there's actually going to be more zones. So judging by what we're seeing here, we're getting Osgiliath out here, and Kirathon Gol as well, so there's 2 there. We've got Saragosse where we've just been, 3. We're getting Nurnen, 4. We're getting, it looks like, that looks like Rune up there, so that's 5. Looks like the borders of the Black Mountains, so that's 6. I don't know what this island is. This island looks like it's going to be, you know, inside the Sea of Nurnen. So that'd be 7. And then we're getting Barad-dûr itself. So 8 different zones, it seems. Which is going to be... 8 different zones is going to be something that is quite a lot of what I'm presuming. It looks like Kirathon Gol is going to be kind of an important zone by what we can tell here. I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, going in and out of these different zones and everything. We can see, you know, different cities around. We can see Minas Tirith over there and everything. Definitely going to be interested to see what we're going to be getting out of this, of these different zones. How big they're going to be, how much we get to exploring the regions and everything like that. Going to be really cool. So, stopping it right here, getting my thoughts on the gameplay. I'm a huge fan of what we saw. Big fan of what we saw. I will say, I had a list of what I wanted to get in this gameplay footage. I made in my own time. I wanted increase on RPG elements, which we got. I wanted to really see what improvements we're going to see on the nemesis system, which we got in abundance, by the way. I wanted to see interiors. We got interiors, and I also wanted to see information really on the story of the game, which we didn't really get, but we can really infer by what we've seen on there. And I do think that what we've seen is going to be really excited, because I think that attacking fortresses is going to be really cool. I'd like to get a bit more information of what really is going to be happening in these regions, what we're going to be doing in them. We say we get side quests, where I presume we're going to be able to explore around. I'm 99.9% sure that's going to be the case. We're going to have to watch the Twitch stream, which is happening on the 10th, to be able to go through that. I'll do a video on my reactions to that and go down some of the key information that we're getting from that live stream. I also want to see really in future stuff what we're going to be getting. How the Nazgul are going to play a part in the game. We've heard they're going to be in it. I want to see really what aspect they're going to be getting in. I'm going to guess it's around Kirathon Gol. It's got to be in that area, because that's really where they're staying at this point in the timeline of Middle-earth. I also thought it was really cool seeing the different enemy types. Mountain dragons was fantastic. It was really cool. Having followers fight and do epic moments for you was really cool. Big fan of everything we saw in this gameplay. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Was it interesting you? Was it getting you a bit more excited about the game? Well, not long until the game comes out. We're only 5 months away until the game comes out, which is absolutely tremendous. Very excited for this game. I've got a lot of videos to make about this game, because I'm really looking forward to it. I was a big fan of Shadow and Mordor. Did a lot of good for my channel as well, and I really hope that Monolith, you know, knock it out of the park again. And everything that they've shown so far, the 2 trailers and an interview on GameSpot, looks like they're knocking it out of the park, of what I can tell. Definitely looks like what a sequel should be. Let me know if you agree with that, if you're excited, if something impressed you about this. Something in particular that I haven't noted or massively talked about that really impressed you. I'd like to hear about that. Also, what didn't you like about what we saw in there? Was there something that you thought was a bit cheap, a bit tatty? Obviously, there's a lot of overuse of hype words in there. You know, everything's unique, you know, which isn't exactly true, but, you know, it's going to be cool to see what really is going to be unique in the game. So let us know what you all think and everything. Leave a like in the video, I'd really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to get more Shadow of Mordor content, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.